So today I'm just doing a really quick tutorial on how to make a tassel. You may be making the stitch therapy pattern, or otherwise you may just be wanting to make a tassel out of some embroidery floss. And that's what I'm going to show you here today. So it's really quite simple. What you just need to do is have a piece of cardboard or some other stiff surface such as this, 2.5 inches by 4 inches roughly. The length that you have here depends on how long you actually want your tassel to be. So play around with your lengths and just see what sort of result you really like. Next, what I have is these lengths of embroidery floss. Now you may just want to work with one colour, in which case you don't need to cut separate lengths, but I'm making my tassel with multiple colours. So what I've done here is I've created 9 lengths that are a little bit over 1 metre. I'm going to say they're about 1 metre and 4 to 6 inches. But again, you can play around with how many thicknesses, lengths you have to make the sort of tassel that you would like to make. I also have 2 other loose pieces of thread. These are probably, I'm not sure, maybe around 12 inches long. They don't have to be quite that long, but you'll see what I do with those in a moment. So just some extra spare lengths of your embroidery floss and a nice big-eyed needle. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab my little piece of cardboard and I'm going to grab my selection of 9 threads. Now what I'm going to do is make sure that those threads are a little bit longer, make sure they're all going past the bottom of my piece of cardboard. And then I'm just going to start wrapping that around. So we're just going to wrap these threads around the piece of cardboard. You can go on top of each other, not on top of each other, really doesn't matter. Just getting it all wrapped nice and comfortably until we're at the end. So there is my little collection of wound threads. Next thing I'm going to do is grab one of my lengths of embroidery floss here, and I'm just going to thread that into my big-eyed needle. So the next thing I'm going to do is thread that, the top of my piece of cardboard, through to the other side. Okay, so now I have that thread at the top, and then what I'm going to do is tie this up. So I'm just going to tie, basically I'm just going to do a reef knot, which means that you put your thread one direction, so this has gone over the top to the back, and then the next one I am going to tie in the other direction. So this case I'm going to go to the back. Try and keep that knot tight as you're going. We don't really want that to loosen on the top of those threads. Okay, so there I've done a reef knot. Now you can do that a second time if you like, just to make sure it's really secure, especially if you're concerned about your knot. I would go around that a second time. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to cut those longer bits there. We don't need those. And I am going to cut the bottom mark there of my tassel. Take out my cardboard. So there we have that there. So it's just basically a chunk of threads tied up at the top. It's going to make sure they're nice and neat. Just sort of make sure they're all laying nicely. And then get your second loose piece of thread. Now what we're going to do is we're going to tie this at the top to create the head of your tassel. So grab that, and in the same way I'm going to do a reef knot. So I'm tying my first one. Now it's up to you how far down you want to go to create that tassel. I'm just going to do it there. That was my reef knot, and now I'm going to do my second knot. Again, you want to be keeping that first knot nice and tight. You don't want to let that loosen off. Okay, so there's my first knot. I'm going to do that a second time. So I'm just going to pull those 2 threads over to the other side and tie a second reef knot just to make sure it's nice and tight and really secure. Now you could do that more times. It's up to you. You can keep going around and create a thicker section there. Totally your call. Just play with it until you think it is nice and ready and looks suitable for your project. So again, keeping that nice and tight. Going to tie my second knot. So I'm happy with that. Okay, so that's the head of my tassel. Here's the lengths, which I'm going to trim down in a moment. Now, we don't want these funny little bits hanging out like this. So what we need to do is tuck and hide those away. So grab your needle again I'm just going to thread the loose end of one of those tie pieces, pull it through, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread that through underneath that part that we've tied, just into the body of your tassel. Pull it through, and as you can see there, once I pull that through, it's no longer hanging on the outside, it's nicely hidden inside the tassel. So I'm going to do the same with this second piece. We're not doing it with your top tie, that's what you need to attach it to whatever your project is. Just going to thread my second loose piece of floss, okay, and again tuck that in under those threads into the body of your tassel. Okay, so those two threads are nicely hidden and are now within the body of your tassel. So you can see there, all right, you've got a nice tassel left. So then all you need to do is actually trim down those remaining threads just to get them nice and even and straight. So just neaten them all up together into a nice clump so that you know you've got them all sort of sitting out properly. And then trim the ends. Now you can keep trimming. I just keep playing with it, seeing which bits are longer than others. And you can just keep trimming that until you're happy with the length. All right, so then you have these little bits here. They will help you to tie your tassel to whatever item you might be attaching it to. And yeah, there's a really beautiful tassel. So I hope that helps, and good luck with your making. Have a good day. Bye.